Appreciate you. What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? It is your boy, Coach D Brown, former big leaguer, former first round pick with the Kansas City Royals. And man, I tell you, man, what a day. All right, my bad. And I know I am solo right now, just for the second. All right, just for a minute. I will be having Lonnie Murray, super agent, joining me today. But I wanted to make sure that if you could, because we're changing up a little something today. I'm going headphone style, a little difference, and I want to make sure that everybody that's listening in can hear me. Can you please just give me a little check and say yes, you can hear me, yes, you can hear me, just so I know I'm doing everything correctly. And Miss Lonnie Murray will be joining us shortly. All right, we had to switch up a little stuff. She was super busy with meetings and stuff, so I'm on her time. So what's up, Brenda? What's good? What's good? All right. Jesse, you can hear me? All right. Everybody can hear me? All right, good deal, good deal. So listen, while she's coming and about to join us, all right. What up, Brenton? What up, Lawrence? Callie in the house. What's up? Sharice, ATL, Don, what's good? All right. I'm loud. I'm too loud. I need to be quiet. All right, I won't talk so loud. I'm so used to not having, like, I got some good mics on here right now. Y'all don't even know. So, but yeah, we are getting joined right now. All right. So listen, I want everybody to kind of stand. Coach Stubbs, what's good? I want everybody to make sure that you listen in. I'm super excited to have this guest. JD was good. Ivy was good. Am I still too loud? Y'all need to let me know. I'm gonna get this microphone going right before I introduce my guest. All right, she's in the back over there waiting on me. Been waiting on me the last 15, 20 minutes. So she's so we good then? All right, all right, here we go. I'm gonna make sure that she's on and all right, cool. All right, cool. All right. Hey Nadine, what up, Don? All right, cool. They say I'm good. All right, cool. Y'all don't even know what's going on in the background. Your boy feel kind of official right now. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a little something different. So without further ado, all right, I'm gonna join my guest right now. All right. We are joined by Miss Lonnie Murray. Lonnie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good.
Okay. Well, I can't hear you. I'm loud. I'm loud.
Oh no, you're not loud. I'm talking about my big head.
Okay, I gotta make sure my audience. I don't think the audience can hear it neither. I need to make sure. Sometimes we're gonna get this right. I know because it may be something with me when you get these headphones. Can you hear me, Lonnie?
I hear you fine.
I can't hear you though. I think it's just on your side. Audience, can y'all hear? Can y'all hear Lonnie or what? I think they can hear you. Okay, they hear her, so they can't hear me. It may be it's a headphone thing. Yeah, let me take these headphones out. Dang, all right, because I can hear so good with the. Let me see. Can you hear me, Lonnie?
I hear you good.
All right, I hear you too now. Okay, we good. All right. It was the headphone things. Okay. Now you went out now.
Can you hear me?
I hear you good. Okay, cool. All right.
It echoes to you. No.
No, your echoes. I don't hear no echo.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen. All right. Well, like I said, this is new studio, new everything. I'm changing up stuff. You don't even know in the background, man. This is usually don't go down like this, but anyway, it all works out in the long run. So, listen, I'm super joined. All right. I've learned about this young lady maybe a couple of years ago. I know she's been in the game for a long time. I'm going to learn just like you guys, but I'm excited to hear about her journey, how she got into this male-dominated field of becoming a baseball agent. I'm super excited to hear about her and her journey to where she is right now. My boy that was on the other day, Bobby Scales, talked extremely high of Lonnie, and I've seen her on LinkedIn and doing big things, and man, and I'm so excited to have her. And without further ado, I got Lonnie Murray joining us today. All right, way out there. You in Cali right now, right? If I'm not mistaken, Lonnie.
I'm in Arizona today.
All right, you in AZ today. All right, my bad. Okay, well, listen, I ain't gonna talk no more. I want to learn more about what's going on with you and your journey to, where did you start from? Where you from? Tell me about your, career to where you are right now as an agent over there, messing with these knucklehead, baseball players over here now.
I don't know where to start. I'm born in Jersey, raised in Washington State. Made in Oakland. That's where I spent the early part of my young adult life. Ended up working for the Haas family, family that used to own the Oakland A's. And that's how I met Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart then wanted to start a sports agency after he had experienced some adversity issues with the Blue Jays not bringing him on as the general manager. So he decided to go to the other side of the field. And then in my role on the nonprofit sector, Wally Haas had told him, Lonnie's a miracle worker. You gotta, talk to her. And I think he had a few different names for me at first because I wasn't very friendly. And and so that's how I got started. It started out in a player maintenance role and trying to help him to establish the functions of the business and processes. And as I continued to interact and we brought on players, they then started to rely on me more heavily as time went on, to the point where the agents that were working at the time, and I think we've all encountered this, where people take for granted even the little things. And where I think if it's a little thing, then just hurry up and get it done, because it goes a long way in establishing the trust and the ability of someone to be able to rely on you for the big things. And that's how it evolved into guys just, well, can you just represent me, or can you call my team, or, and for me, I'm a yes person. Like, hell yeah, I could do whatever. So it never dawned on me what I was getting into. It was never something that I said, ooh, I want to grow up and be an agent. It didn't mean anything. Agents were gross to me then, and they're gross to me now. I was telling somebody yesterday that if I could rename it, I would. Unfortunately, the industry requires it, but much more.
Why do you think agents get that? Like, why do you think that, word is kind of so? Because I talk to high school parents all the time, and it's like, that word agent is like, ooh, be careful, or college, eligibility, be careful with the agent. You're saying, like, in general, the agent word. And I didn't mean to cut you off from the journey, but, why do you think that agent word just kind of gets that bad, rap, the bad taste in the mouth?
Well, television is definitely one source, but it's kind of like that chicken and the egg, which comes first. And so I do think that a lot of agents have themselves to blame. When you're not really focused on when your why isn't centered around the success of that young person or more mature person, but it's more centered around the dollars in your own pocket, that could be that's a problem. Because not every player, the majority of players are not going to put that money in your pocket. And so when they become disposable, that's the feeling that person walks away with. And so you're going to have more people pissed off at you than you are going to have people that are happy with you.
That was kind of my story. And I loved my agent, man. And we were so super close in the beginning, and it went down just, it became, he see that I'm not going to make him the bread that he thought I was going to be making for him. And it became, that first phone call that he used to take now is, I'm gonna get back to you in the next day and all of that. And I want you guys to, for the agent purposes wise, because we got a lot of parents that are mostly high school age kids and guys that, hear about the agents. And I know they're going to have, plenty of questions, but from an actual role of an agent, especially from the youth amateur side, what's that role look like for that agent. And if you could kind of explain the difference in an agent and an advisor, what, your role is, and during that time as far as eligibility wise and stuff like that.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because that's really important for people to understand, because there's some old gossip that gets perpetuated, which is that if you are in high school or in college that you cannot have an agent. That changed about 4 or 5 years ago to where you can have an agent. Now, at the same time, and I'm going to probably get in trouble for this, but the fact is I still tell families when they get that NCAA eligibility form, check no. Just check no, because the NCAA has the authority and the power to pick on whoever they want to pick on. And if they want to find something, they're going to find something regardless. So there's no point in giving them an open door to anything. But technically, you are allowed. And I think but I know that you really should, with respect, if you have, and this is where parents have to be very realistic with themselves, if you have a dude in your family, that's somebody who guys are like smothering, not that one scout that happens to like mom, or that one scout that dad becomes homies with that just says, "Ooh, I like you." No, we're talking like 4 or 5 scouts or more that are talking to your kid, okay? You should get an advisor. At the same time, the other thing that families should know, because a lot of families stay back thinking that there's a cost involved, and some agents kind of imply that, there's something in it for them. And if they're an attorney, sometimes they do try to sneak in some costs. But NCAA rules, you are not allowed to bill an amateur, period. It doesn't happen. So my advice to people, even when I've made a good impression on somebody and they're like, I'm like the first or second person that they've talked to, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I want to sign up with you." I'm like, "Whoa, no. I need you to talk to a couple other people." And the reason I do that is because, just to be really frank, I know my value and I know what I give, and you won't know unless you talk to other people. And so when times get tough and somebody else over there is trying to sell you something, you're going to question what I'm doing because you don't have a point of reference. All you know is what the salesperson over there is trying to tell you after we've already come 2-3 years down the road, and I do all I got to get you to where you are, to where this guy is trying to poach you.
Right. And I want to harp on, and I just learned something about the 4 or 5 years ago, because I hear certain words being, I got an agent. I used to be like, why does these kids just blatantly say this? You know what I'm saying? Like now so I'm glad you just clarified that rule for me now, but you still tell them why they're filling out the NCAA clearinghouse to check no. All right, parents, I want you guys to make sure you're hearing that. All right. Cool. So what I wanted to, so now how, what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing, parents wondering, because I hear it now, like they get a couple letters in the mail and a scout or two talks to them. It's like, "Hey, do I need an agent? And what do I say? An agent called me. What's some of the questions and stuff should I ask an agent?" And, so these are the type of stuff that gets asked to me. And I'm going to, now that I have you on, all right, what are some of the questions that, let's just say you kind of like a potential, client in the future here and there, if they reach out to you or they're talking to another agent who, I'm gonna get them all for you, but what's some of the questions they should ask?
The first thing that parents have to do is take a step back. Okay. Parents are so wanting to be sold and told what their kid is versus what he isn't. And you should not be sold on this part of the process, because and when I say sold, I'm talking about when somebody comes in your house and talks to you about, "Oh, I represent this person, this person, this person." What does that have to do with your kid who's still an amateur? Ask them, how many kids did you represent in the draft 5 years ago or 4 years ago or 3 years ago that are still in high A or lower? How many of those kids?
I want to talk about that too, because I know why you're asking that, but go ahead.
How many of those kids are in indie ball? How many indie ball kids do you represent? Now, the reason for that is the guys who make it are always going to have an agent standing behind them and proud to talk about who we rep and all that good stuff. But again, majority will not make it. And sometimes the difference between somebody who makes it and somebody who has success are the people that are in their corner battling for them. And if you have an agent that isn't willing to battle because they have so many that they're representing, that they're just casting a wide net, and whoever holds on gets the cake or gets the support, then what does that do for your child? Where do you fall when your kid struggles? Because you and I both know they will struggle at some point. And you as a parent cannot always be that person. You know, I know there's a lot of dads cursing me right now, but that's for real.
Listen, you are absolutely correct. I think, can you explain from a parent that is looking to use your services, and you know, they hire you, and I want you guys on, you know, from an agent side, because I have a guy that asked this question, and answer this question for my guy, and then it'll kind of piggyback to what I'm saying over here. So Marvell asked, let me get that question to you here. All right. If someone is interested in a career as an agent, what would be your advice for the first steps?
I believe that an agent should have some level of ability to scout ability, to be able to help a guy figure out what's right or what's wrong, or the psychology behind it, whatever is attributable to a player's on-field success. That's one of the first things that you really should do. If you can't do that, if you can't even tap into mindset, like, let's face it, I can help you like this much with what you're doing wrong on the mound, but I can help you this much with what you're doing with, I saw your body language when you walked out there. I saw you didn't show up to the field today. I saw that you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing in your bullpen, which is usually where that stuff comes from anyway.
That's what I wanted to kind of dig into a lot, because just like you just said, it's not about mom and dad helping you out. After a while, again, you tune those, you know, mom and dad out. And when you were 0 for 50 something slump, and mom was like, hey, you're going to hang in there. Don't, you're going to be all right. I know my baby can hit. And dad is like, what's going on? All of that. Sometimes you need that extra voice. And I want to talk about,
I want to expand on that a little bit, because one of the things that I feel is also very important, and you'll hear this a lot from parents who have been through the process, and you know, some parents feel that they have lost their kid to the agent. The agent comes in and they're like selling the whole family, and oh yeah, we're good, all this good stuff. But then you start to watch and how that person is rolling, and they're developing a relationship with your child, and child is all the way up to 30, okay, for me. And so they're developing that relationship and causing some division, because and that makes it really easy on the agent, because then there's only one person to please, there's only one person to answer to. Unfortunately, I personally feel that throughout our lives, it still takes a village. And, you know, if I can't tap into what's also going on at home, if I'm seeing something, it just isn't right, and I can't figure it out, I want to be able to call mom. I want to be able to call dad. But we have to have a trust established too, to where they know that I'm not crazy, and then also when hard times come, I can be the one to explain it to them. That way they're not rehashing it when the kid steps off the field that day. when he's in the minor league system and dad's wondering, why weren't you invited to instruct? Why weren't you, called up when that other guy, that buster with the lower batting average or, ERA, the high ERA was called up? Because that puts undue pressure on him when I can probably explain it and make everything okay, so there's not any added pressure. Yeah, so there's a holistic relationship.
How do you go about just what you just said, relationship? Because this is, when we parted ways, I honestly felt like it was like breaking up with like a girl. He was a dude, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like it was. I had been with him. I knew him since I was 17, and here I am, damn near 30 years old, and we're parting ways. He's all I knew from an agent wise, and it was extremely tough. So we have been through a lot together, but from the beginning stages, I'm sure you get a feel for a kid. You almost like you're a scout in a different way. You know what I'm saying? You're scouting these people. So, these young players. Has there been a lot of times where you like, man, I really like this kid's talent, and you get to talking with them and the family, you'd be like, that's not going to be okay.
Yes, absolutely. Life's short. Life is way too short. I have, unfortunately, I had the opportunity and the displeasure of working with a guy who was extremely high profile, made me a lot of money, and I was so caught up because I had him since he was 19 years old, and I loved him. I trusted him. And I was that mom, like he could do no wrong, right? And what I ended up realizing about, 6 years in, when the real money hit, and the family foundation I knew was fractured, but at the same time, I felt like a bridge. And so I was too supportive. I didn't put my foot down in situations that I recognize now I should have put my foot down in. Instead, I took his word for everything. And then before I knew it, I was so caught up in the eye of the storm. And when you're in the eye of the storm, you can't see it until too late, until the dust settles. Right. And so then it got to a point where I had to question my own integrity because, people have called me a bulldog. And so if you mess with my kids, we're going to have a problem. So when I realized, when the dust settled and I had to do some self-reflecting, it was like, man, I messed some people up defending that dude. Like, I'm going to have to question. And at that point, I let him know that I could no longer represent him.
High profile player too, huh?
It hurt. Emotionally it hurt. Yeah. But there are some things you really do as a person have to draw a line in the sand and decide what's important to you. And there are things. It's like that Al Pacino movie, what is it, Devil's Advocate, where he wants to be this high-powered attorney, and then the next thing you know, he's literally dancing with the devil. Like, that's his life. And that's how it felt. Like, damn, Lonnie, damn, how did you miss that? Like, you're better than that. And so since then, I pay attention to the warning signs. And because I realize that there are some things, some people that I can't fix. That doesn't mean I don't represent some idiots. Right. Okay? But when I say idiots, at least they're innocent about it. They're not calculated and manipulative people. They're just maybe a little bit immature, or, I've got a couple dads who are a little off their rocker, and a couple moms, and they know who they are. So if they see this, we've already talked.
I'm about to add, that's just normal. Everybody ain't, kosher, especially when I come to the ball players. and that little quirkiness and craziness is probably what makes them really, really good, you know. But it's yeah, I already know dealing with different personalities. You know?
That's where the most important thing is. The most important thing truly, truly is trust. Because, and it's like I tell families when I sit and talk to them, there is so much through this process that will make absolutely no sense. It will not be logical. It will not, there is no cookie cutter approach. There is, I will tell you things that you are going to look at me and when I leave, you're going to say, what in the hell is she talking about? She must not know. And because I'm a she, I get that a lot. Like, you know, and I'll hear from other scouts or whatever, they'll call me up, hey, one of your families called me, you know, verifying your information. And, you know,
I really want to get into that too, but let's keep going. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off.
No, it's like question me, and whenever I'll tell them, if somebody else tells you something different, call me three-way. Call me three-way. I'm happy to take that call. Because I don't bullshit. Sorry, my last curse. Sorry.
Yeah, trust me, I curse all the time. It's okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, you good. Listen, it shows you. That's what I love too. So it's a couple of questions. Parents, remember, you could, you know, start asking these questions. I got a couple that's come in, and I definitely want to get into that. Just like you said, the whole questioning how much baseball you know, and being a woman in this industry. Lord, I know you get it, you know. So let me get some of this. I had two, and I scrolled all the way up, being nosy. All right. Russ asked.
So if they're talking trash about me, you hit it.
No, nobody, no way. Nobody is talking trash. No way. I just kind of, you know, I like scrolling, and I usually shout out everybody that's listening in from different parts of the country. So, but Russ asked, hi. How and why are getting so many, you know, are you getting so many Caribbean players?
I don't have a lot of Caribbean players, but I do have a lot of Latin players. And you're probably, if you're asking me that, it's because maybe you know a little bit, you know that I don't speak Spanish, I'm assuming. Because otherwise, I'd be a fool to be in baseball and not go after Latin players. But a lot of American agents don't go after Latin players. They have a reputation for not being loyal. I've had other American agents, when I started going to the Dominican and Mexico and recruiting, ask me, like, why are you bothering with that, or how are you doing that? And I haven't experienced a lack of loyalty. What happens is no different than what we've experienced or talked about in, you know, the Black Boys Play Baseball Facebook page. They too experience a lack of respect. They feel that Americans devalue and disregard them as less than. And one of the things that ends up happening, and probably I am a mom, I can't get away from that. I'm a woman, and especially the Mexican and Dominican kids, they're extremely respectful of their mothers. And so I believe, and they've told me later, because we use translator app, where, you know, they can sense the authenticity. And the only person that I need to really go quickly with my tongue with is over here. Now, with them, I have people that work for me that speak Spanish. I have the translator app when it's very personal. You just get it done. Like I said at the beginning, you just get it done. So I went after those players because I felt that there was a market. I was approached by a Buscon over there who had an academy. He then just gave me 8 players, and they are just so sweet. At that time, they were 15 and 16 years old. Like, how do I say no? I didn't. Right. That's not my thing.
Right. I want you to and I got some more questions, but I want you to, you know, from that standpoint, because parents will say, oh, you're getting these clients, and so you must charge them XYZ and da 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 da. But like, explain to the parents how this whole agent business goes for you. And you don't have to say percentages, but I just want to kind of let you know, like, hey, you got the bonus, but then there's a long period of time before you see some some money for the services and stuff that you provide.
Yes.
So can you explain, maybe
Yes.
around about what the percentages are, what agents make?
I can tell you flat out. Agents generally charge 5% in baseball. Okay. That's over here in the States. Generally over in the Latin countries, it could literally be anywhere between 15 and 30%. I don't do that. The same thing that I charge over here is the same thing that I charge over there. Now, when you are an amateur player, again, there is no money to be collected until you sign. And it doesn't matter how much you sign for with most agents. I don't know of any other agents that it doesn't matter for. Now, the reason why I say that is, yesterday was actually the first time that I've publicly acknowledged it. But in the 15 years that I've been doing this, I've never charged a kid, an amateur kid, who decided to sign for 200 or less. Ever. It's never happened. And the reason for that is, bluntly, and this is relatively speaking, I understand that, and so I hope nobody dogs me over this, but that ain't no money. That's not real money. And when you have a kid, when you have a kid that for whatever the reason, because there's a host of reasons, not just, I'm some agent that's going to let some, high school kid sign for $200,000. No, people don't stop to consider that maybe that kid couldn't get into the college that he was going to go to, that he was committed to. And maybe I worked a really good deal so that the college didn't tell the school, scouts that. So scouts, now teams, still have to give him the college education plan, where he would have been at a JC, no 4-year college commitment, no scholarship, nothing, and maybe never getting the opportunity to be drafted again. So now he's got anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000, 4 years of college, tuition, room and board paid for. That's a damn good deal. But I literally had some people say, oh my God, like I had a representative at MLB last year call me, why'd you let, such and such sign, da da da. Let me break it down for you. So then it was like, oh, wow, I didn't know. No. Well, you should know me better, So that said, it's 5% generally on average across the board for most agents for your signing bonus. Even if you sign for $30,000, some agents still send you a bill. I'm looking at it like that might be the last few coins that kid gets. He's gonna need it. But but what I do expect in return is honesty, loyalty, and hard work. Period. I'm not doing this just for you to go have fun.
Right.
We're gonna work.
What I see though, and you could, and I some more questions coming in, parents. I promise you I'll get there. What I see is it's those $30,000 guys that necessarily come into the game without an agent, or have a local guy, somebody that's, and they blossom. They ball out in the fall league, and now all the big boys start coming, and so, like how.
And then all of a sudden you're just, but you're Miss Lonnie. Oh, but we're family now, and so it doesn't feel as flashy as it did when I wasn't doing nothing.
Right.
And but that guy, I saw him, doing XYZ, and he represents such and such. Yeah, that's why his ass was too busy to help you when you needed it. And how's that going to work out when you start slumping again?
That's right. That's right. So, I just, it's a dirty thing, man. The loyalty in this thing, man, is crazy, man.
Yeah, so I want to finish your initial question. So once you sign as an amateur, you do not pay, it's almost funny, right? You do not pay that agent again until your child becomes a free agent, he goes to arbitration, or rarely the team offers a deal, a multi-year deal or something, or a one-year deal.
But like, you're saying that, but you got to put approximate years behind it, because they don't know.
On average, minimum 4 years, average 6 years, mostly never. Meanwhile, every year during spring training, you got to go see them. Meanwhile, during the off season, you got to check him on what he is and isn't doing right. Meanwhile, when the end of the season comes, you're finding out from the team what they didn't tell your child that he needed to work on, and where he falls, or where they don't see him, and prepare for what he needs to do. All this other work is going on, and I've shot myself in the foot a few times because I don't talk much about what I do. I just believe in doing it. And so when some people, they get further along, they think that it was easy. And so I've only had 3 instances where I've lost somebody. 3 this whole time. I've only lost 3. And I've gotten rid of a couple. But and I'm not saying like by the tens.
I got you.
But,
just 3 kids though in 15 years, that's in this dirty business, that's really good. That means you're doing an awesome job,
But at the same time, I've got a kid who just graduated from engineering school. I've got one that's in medical school right now. I've got all these kids that at one point played that they didn't make it for whatever the reason. It just happens, but those relationships stand, and that's my why.
I just want, so my parents listening, I just want to clarify and just understand what she's saying. So if in the draft, or she chooses you as a client, if you make it 200,000, it's advice, whatever. If she chooses you, okay. But am I saying if it's 200,000 or less, she ain't gonna charge nothing. But the point is, regardless if it's 2 million, 20 million, or 200,000, it's 5%. But the main thing I want you guys to understand is it's normally 4 to 6 years, and she just said it. Sometimes never. They do a lot of work for you, and
you're still buying their equipment, bats. Yes. A dozen bats a year. That's over 1,000. Over 1,000 just for bats.
That's the type of stuff I want you to explain, please.
The tighties, the tights, what are those little tighty shorts called? I can't believe sliders.
Sliders, yeah.
Long sleeve, short sleeve. Where is he going? Is he going to cold weather? Got to get him something warmer. Argue with them.
It's usually provided by an agent, or if you don't have an agent, you got to buy that stuff out of your own pocket. Some of these teams now, big market teams, I think they provide little stuff here and there now, compared to what they used to do. I don't know. You're in the game a lot, deeper than I am. No.
When they first get you, when they first get you, you've got the Yankees, who they are like Yankees and Dodgers. They are so all about tradition that they want to like dress you up and down. Right. Don't expect that every year. When you first sign, don't get excited.
Okay. All right. So that's what I need to, what I'm saying? I just want you, so parents just understand, she's saying that even if you're a professional, all right, they ain't giving you, batting gloves and sliders and all of that. It may be a nice little care package in the beginning, but you 2 3 years into this minor league, you need somebody to provide that stuff for you, or you're coming out of your own pocket. So what she's saying, again, you got the upfront, whatever, for 4 to 6 years or something, she's boom, providing you with sliders and gloves and deals and stuff like that to help you out with your equipment that you need, with the hopes that you do what you got to do on the field to get that big, the real money when you become arbitration eligible and beyond. 4 to 6 years into this professional career, you hope. All right. I just want you to guys to understand how this thing works. All right.
And stay loyal. You know, there's a lot of disloyal people.
Listen.
There's some people that will listen to what you just said and say, let me go ahead on and get this agent. And because I can always switch later. That's why I don't play anymore.
And the player, from a player side, trust me, if you halfway decent, you may have Lonnie as your agent, all right? But trust me, there's dudes calling the room, there's people reaching out, there's teammates of y'all, teammates trying to, recruit you over to their guy.
Yep.
And so it's a lot of, it's hard work and keeping clients. I ain't no agent, but Lord have mercy, I know how this game goes. So
how many times did one of your teammates tell you that he got a shoe deal, or Nike was sponsoring him, or he got a bad deal? Look at what my agent got me. And lo and behold, he didn't have nothing. Nothing.
I'm gonna be honest with you, honestly, Lonnie. I was the one that used to be getting the deal, so I ain't really care when nobody. Right. I ain't trying to brag. I promise you, I'm not trying to brag, Lonnie. I was the guy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not doubting that, but you know how many guys are in the locker room lying about, what their agent or the agent is lying to them about what they got them. The big one used to be Rawlings. Oh, we got you a Rawlings deal, and that used to be attached to a Best Buy card. And then Rawlings stopped it because it turned out that agents were calling clients or potential clients saying, yeah, I could get you a Rawlings deal if you come over to me, and then just buying a glove and buying a gift card and saying, see, you got a Rawlings.
Wow, really?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. So let me get these questions, because I'm gonna ask you personal, because I'm gonna be nosy how this thing is going. Let me ask some of these questions. So Russ says, all right, let me get this question here. Why is it not coming over? Give me a minute. Okay, I'm sorry. What is being done about Black Americans becoming GMs and managers? It's a shame that so many keep getting passed over, and La Russa gets another chance, even though he managed steroid teams and Hyde in Baltimore, who had no experience, and Willie Randolph, Chili Davis, Dave Stewart can't even get an interview.
Let me clear my throat for this one.
It gets real. It gets real in here, Lonnie. For real, it gets real in here. I'm trying to tell you.
Well, I can be a little real too. So let me go there. Could you leave that question up on the board, because that was like multi-part.
Yeah, he's good for that.
I didn't say I evaded anything. Okay. What is being done about Black Americans becoming GMs and managers? Nada. Nothing. How about that? Now, are there still voices? Yeah, but those voices have been screaming and yelling since 80s, okay? And before, but we were arguing about different things from 80s to like 90s. And then, like I said earlier, it was about 92, 93 that, Dave Stewart had that big blow up in the media against the Blue Jays, because they told him he was going to be the general manager. And then they brought somebody in and said, hey, we want you to train this guy, not to be GM, but just, get him acclimated. And then they brought that dude with no experience and made him the GM. So
no way.
So
no way.
There's that. Now, what I will say, and I'm going to refrain from naming teams.
Mm-hmm.
When the Black Lives Matter stuff happened, there were a couple of teams that 100% reached out and asked what they can do to make a difference and change some of this systemic issues that prevent us from getting to those levels. Okay, so fingers crossed. COVID happened, or COVID was here, and now you've had a lot of teams experience some issues with respect to budgets. Period. So that's that. It's a shame that so many keep getting passed over. Yes, it is. Now, what I will tell you, since you brought La Russa up, I am a La Russa fan. I'm sorry, he's family. Okay.
I was stalking you on Facebook, but yeah.
So if this is a concern, let's not forget that if not for La Russa, Dave Stewart would never have been the fifth general manager, a Black general manager in Major League Baseball. You'd only have 4 still. So let's not forget that. Let's not forget that La Russa, the one thing I want to highlight, that and understandably there's some misconception. And the reason I say understandably is because oftentimes when somebody says they don't support kneeling, they have a refusal and a denial of systemic racism and police brutality. That's not La Russa. La Russa acknowledges and has acknowledged on multiple occasions that those issues exist. He just didn't like the politicizing of kneeling because he does have friends that are military and that were offended. And the way that he said it to me, because I took great issue and was heated when I saw the Yahoo Sports article. I'll never forget it. I was at Wrigley Field and I happened to be with Bob Nightingale, and that Yahoo Sports thing hit, and Adam Jones, who's also a friend, spoke out, and I'm like, two people I love are getting like, you know, and we know what side I got to be on, and that's the side of right, and kneeling is right. And so I called Tony, and I was surprised he answered, because we've gotten into it before. And the way that he explained it was that, number one, he didn't really understand. He got caught up in the politicizing of it. The second part is that he said, if somebody hurt you, Lonnie, it wouldn't matter to me whether they felt like they were justified or not. The bottom line is that they hurt you. If somebody hurts you, I'm speaking up and I'm saying something. And so this is hurting people that I love. And so that's why I'm speaking up. Do you see? And Tony has a charity called Pets for Vets. And every year they raise almost $1 million to provide service animals to vets suffering from PTSD. So there's a whole lot. Do you see? It's not, nothing happens in a vacuum. So the next part, La Russa managed steroid teams. I got to tell you, I know several of the guys on those teams, and there are several guys like you guys were on there on the Black Boys Play Baseball site praising Ricky Henderson the other day. Ricky didn't even know. Ricky didn't know. Dave Henderson didn't know. Carney Lansford didn't know. Dave Stewart didn't know. So if they didn't know, and you got the manager who is older and kind of not in on the food chain with respect to interpersonal relationships, then I would expect Tony to have known. That said, Chili Davis is very, very, very happy doing what he's doing. Chili Davis was over here drinking a bottle yesterday. Okay.
Tell my boy Chili Chill. I said, what's up, man? That's my dude. Man.
Really?
That's my boy. I love Chili, man.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He had me take him around my first spring training ever. He was like, Brownie, you're coming with me. And when I used to look at him, he had this big cigar, and
he's still doing it.
Yeah, and I, just imagine 19-year-old kid, and I wasn't a Chili Davis fan, but I seen him all the time on TV. So I'm like, yo, and I'm driving, and he's just like, yo, we're gonna walk the mall and all of that, and then within like one day, he kind of showed me like what a big leaguer was, you know what I'm saying? And like the talks he had, the wines, you're talking about wine. He was to be like, D, you by the time you become a man, you're gonna really love wine, D. You're gonna and he like this, and I just remember the girls I was walking with Chili, and the girls was like, y'all play ball? He was in Orlando, and I'm like 19, and I'm like, man, this dude is big league, man. Look at that, So that's my guy. I love Chili, man. That's my dude. I haven't seen him in about 10 years.
You just summed him up even to this day. It's still the exact same. The exact same.
What's up, man? That's my boy.
Still mentoring. I remember I've got kids right now that are playing professionally that I took to Chili because decided to do like travel ball for the right reasons, didn't charge, just had Rupert Jones out there coaching, had Ricky come out a few times, just tried to get former professional players to come out. Nice. So there are kids that I had Chili work with at 12 and 13 years old that are playing now professionally.
Good for you. That's dope. That's dope.
So awesome. Yeah. So, when I see some of the so I'm sorry, Russ, to your point, you are absolutely right. Dave Stewart, especially as far as the GM role, he got screwed in Arizona.
Arizona, big time.
Without a doubt, when you have the former GM, calling up and saying thank you for this team, when you have the former GM or the current GM even, publicly when they won the year following, which was the third year, and there's no general manager that has ever had that short of window to have success. But even when David was let go, there were team owners, etc., that called him.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So I thought for sure he was going to have another job. Now, what I'm going to say, because I'm on this side and I can, but it seems very obvious to me, and I don't care who calls me mad that I said it. Nobody can convince me that Major League Baseball, the commissioner's office, doesn't determine who is and isn't considered.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Period. I believe that they have a role in, let me say it like this.
And on a GM level and above, or managerial level and above? GM level.
I believe that if there's somebody whose voice is too loud, who doesn't fit a profile or doesn't fit into what they want done, I believe that a call would be made to steer in another direction.
Hey, listen, Lonnie. You're gonna open up a lot of old wounds that I'm feeling right now, and
it's to Russ's point. To Russ's point, Russ, you are 100% correct in the framework of what you've laid out. There are guys being recycled through this system that ain't done shit, that are getting more and more jobs. That what other industry can you be fired 4 times over and still have a job the next day while other qualified? I represent a guy right now who was manager of the year and he can't get an interview. How's that? Manager of the year 1 year, then runner-up manager of the year the following year. The year after that, he didn't have a job and hasn't had an interview since. And
he says white?
He's white.
Okay. I was thinking of somebody else then. I was about to say I was Spanish. No. Yeah. Okay. Really?
So it goes around, but especially as it relates to us. Come on now. There's some dudes that what's that? All skin folk ain't kinfolk. There's some that shouldn't have jobs. There's some dudes that had the nerve to speak out during Black Lives Matter, but were the first ones to say, "Nah, man, I don't want nothing to do with that." When you called on them, when it wasn't cool.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my whole thing.
He was on MLB Network. How about that? You could annoy me seeing us post some of those people on the Black Boys Play Baseball and exalt them. I wanted to so bad. Black on black time. Let's advance the mission.
Hey, I'm liking you even more right now. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm liking you even more right now. Like I heard good things about you, but now I'm like, Lord have mercy.
Sorry, you got me started on the wrong topic. We're supposed to be talking about trade.
And it is not wrong. It's real topic. It's real. All right. I'm gonna get off, dumb it down just a little bit and ease it off, and we get back to some of these other things. But Mike and Callie says, "Hi, Lonnie. Is there a specific geographic region you spend more time domestically or internationally? I guess like as far as recruiting players."
Yeah. Definitely Southern California. It was, used to be the hotbed. Over the last few years, you've seen Florida and Atlanta definitely pick up. There are differences between players and families. If we're going to just be real about it, there are differences between players and families and how those families expect to be recruited based on the region that they live.
Wow.
And I've had some, it's the level of expectation, okay? Because you have Atlanta, where there are a lot of people strolling through Atlanta trying to cast that wide net, but they come off like I'm the hometown boy, trust me. And I have had more guys that I tried to recruit that after they got drafted, it's like a year and a half later that they're calling me up. Can you help me? I'm sorry I didn't choose you, but man, that guy messed me up. All the things you told me could happen did happen. And in the past, I've been a sucker for that. I was a sucker for it. And you want to say no, and then you end up doing it anyway. But lately, over the last 2 years, I've had to say no. Who am I to get in God's way of his plan for you?
That's a good way to put it, right? That's a good way to put it.
Somebody else already. And, I tried to tell you. And so I can't go, it's like throwing good money after bad.
Right. All right. Mark in Maryland says, Mark says, wow. Let me see. I'm sorry. All right. I skipped. He had 2 questions. Is there any truth to the rumor, we're going back on it, I'm sorry, that MLB has quietly told franchises to not draft black players? Is that real or mostly fiction? Have you seen any evidence to MLB not wanting black players that can play?
No, I have never, and I know a lot of people up and down the food chain. I've sat with owners and, had drinks and smoked cigars. There is no strategic mission to not draft black players. Again, nothing happens in a vacuum. And there is some responsibility that we have to dig into between us too.
Hell yeah. All right. Gavin says, hey, can you ask what's the route to getting players from DR to be legal to come over to the States to play at a public high school?
Well, the Dominican is a little bit more difficult. And so you're first going to have, I personally wouldn't pull a Dominican kid from the DR to bring him to the States for high school. It's much more common and understandable when you do it with a Mexican player. For a variety of reasons. Generally, the Dominican kids, they're getting drafted at 16. So, why would you do that? Then on top of it, if they don't get drafted at 16, then they have between the age of 16 and 18 to be picked up as a free agent, or between 16 and 21 to be picked up as a free agent. So it doesn't benefit them at all. There's no incentive. And then guess what? In the Dominican, they don't have to go to school. They can play baseball and work on their craft all day long. So maybe I don't understand what the intent is. If you have somebody that you're trying to do this with because you have a personal relationship and a kid is getting screwed out over there, then private message me, because that is like a unique situation.
I know why he's asking.
Okay.
He wants some talent. Are you looking at it like, yo, how can I get my damn, program up? That's what I'm thinking.
Well, here's what I would tell you. So then if you want to get your program, wait, is he a high school coach? Oh, yeah, sorry, bruh. No. But if you decide that you want to, here's a loophole. If you decide that you want your high school kids to be featured, and maybe you decided to establish a nonprofit team that you guys can go compete in during the non-high school season, then you can actually write a letter and bring Dominican kids over to play on your summer team.
Say that again one more time. So start a nonprofit.
You can establish a team outside of the school, right? Yeah. And generally that's a nonprofit team, right?
Mm-hmm.
That way, donations can be received to bring that kid over, cover expenses, etc. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can have a letter written for whatever tournaments you want for that kid to fly over, or kids to fly over and play in your team. play with your team. Now, the beauty of that's a total win-win, because a lot of those kids do want to come play over here, especially when you're talking about a perfect game showcase, because there's nothing like that going on over there. And so it's extra exposure.
All right, Gavin, I hope you're listening. All right. Brenda says, hello, Lonnie. I'm sure that she probably got this question answered, but I still will ask, do you represent players at the amateur level, college guys?
Oh, yeah. High school, college, all the above.
All right. My boy Tony Miranda in Cali says, do you believe we can start the Negro Leagues again? Pros and cons?
I don't see that as a pro. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I think that again, just to be blunt about it, what's that saying, careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. And the reason I say that is because when COVID hit and Manfred decided to use the excuse of the virus to cut the number of minor league teams and have those kids go play over in indie ball, and now they're taking control of indie ball, who do you think those kids are going to be? Those kids are going to be predominantly us. And when being floated around, I spoke out loudly about it, about how it's going to be a huge impact on our kids, because we sign for less. We have developed slower. That's just the reality. The way we've developed is different. And so we're generally needing extended or being sent to extended.
Yes.
And we're spending a couple of years there or in low A.
Right.
Now, if you eliminate those, where does the development occur?
Because it ain't happening on the showcase level. A lot of,
No, it's not. And that's what, it's really, really unfortunate. Some of the perceptions, if only, like, truly, some of that stuff that I read makes it hard some days to review it, because we have to step back and stop on a grand scale. And D, I want you to tell the truth. The majority of these kids, when they're getting older and these parents are posting talking about he's amazing, and it's like,
I don't think they really know what amazing is, though.
No, but that's the problem. And so I wish that we would step back and ask more, listen more.
Hold on one. I can still hear you. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and so we have to ask more questions. There are so many professionals on that Facebook group that would be happy to give advice, that would be happy to give a critique. But I don't know that people really want that. We're arguing about stupid stuff.
You saw my post I put on there, right? Because I posted the other day about, like, the stuff that goes on in that, because it can be so it is positive 90%, but sometimes it goes overboard where I'm like, listen, parents, you really don't know who is in this group right here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You really don't have an idea, and you're setting yourself up. Yes. And it ain't gonna be good. You're in there, right? Here you are representing multi-million-dollar athletes, right? And you're in this group, hosting from time to time, but laying back most of the time. And parents is like, oh, posting about the most random stuff. And here, you're dealing with owners and GMs and stuff every day. And I'm like, I had to say something. I was like, yo, you don't know who's in this group. Watch it. I'm glad you
said that. I got real quiet in there. It just started, I started collecting some information. Here's an example. So, we want the most for us, right? And so with all the complaining and stuff, and it was like, okay, Lonnie, then what are you doing different? What are you contributing to this? And so I asked the question. I posted, hey, without any dialogue, list me 3 things that you think would make a positive impact, right? That way we could build a consensus. 30 responses.
How many?
30. 28 to be exact. Now, you see people on there talking about really irrelevant stuff, and there's like 100, 200 responses. But I'm asking a very, like, let's get to the core of the issue. Let's build a consensus. And that's it. That's the best we got. And so it's one of those things like, you know, if we're not going to work hard for ourselves, how can we expect others to work hard for us?
That's exactly. That was why I posted what I posted. Not just because I'm seeing it going that route. And so, but hopefully they get the message. And I told one of the couple guys, like, oh, give me some examples. I couldn't write all the examples of posts. I was just like, you know, just use common sense sometimes. Like, you know, you just understand you don't want to hurt your child. Damn, you know?
Yeah.
So,
but I love seeing the kids in there.
It's dope. It's dope. Yeah, that's what it should be for. You know, you know, just knowing what they got. You know, so Trey says, when is it appropriate time for players to look for agents?
I think that varies on the kid and the family. So one of the things that I've always been very open to doing is I'm always open to questions. You know, there's some people that, you know, their kid may not be very good. I don't need them, and they get so insecure or like nervous to ask me because they're like, I don't want to waste your time. And it's like, I would so much rather spend an entire day asking like the simplest of questions than for people to really think it's a huge question and spend all day or weeks or a lot of money doing stuff that I could have just fixed in like 2 minutes. It makes no sense. And so that goes back to, if you have, you know, if you're trying to decide between which tournaments to go to, if you're trying to, you know, you're like a freshman or sophomore in high school and people are approaching you, then you must be, you might be a dude, right? If somebody's telling you that I'm going to need you ask them a question, or mom or dad asks a question, and they're like, hey, yeah, you know, I'll provide all of that service and all of that information once we solidify this deal, run.
Right.
Information doesn't cost anything. And if your intent of heart is not to help us as a family, unless you know you're getting paid for it or you can go advertise it, then how do I really interview you? And that's my point earlier today, where I was saying, when people have come to me and they've got a freshman or sophomore and they're like, hey, you know, and I've done like maybe 2 weeks worth of stuff with them, you know, spent time. And they're like, hey, I know I need to, you know, what do we do next to make sure that, you know that we're committed to you? And I'm like, don't be committed to me.
That's right.
Ask the next person. I want you to truly understand the value of what I do. And if somebody else can't step up to that plate, then you know that that's not the agent for you. Now, when do you really need it? Again, if you're a dude, your junior year, by your junior year. A lot of people don't understand that your junior year is extremely critical. Oftentimes more important than your senior year.
When it comes to the draft and Major League, really? Okay.
Yep. For a high school player. Yep.
For high school player, right. What about college?
College, you better, once you're able to take the field, so like you'll get a pass that freshman year on if you don't play, especially like if you're at UCLA and you're not playing your freshman year, scouts already knew you weren't playing, right? But your sophomore year, you better have some production. Your junior year, it's go time. You gotta be like 2 steps max away from being a big leaguer. So that means days off. What are you doing? And that's, you know, if there's anything that's a really good indicator about who's gonna do something and who's not, is the kid that's talking about in high school, or the family that's like, well, I really want him to spend time with his friends.
Right. So you mean the one that's like has a tournament or something over there, and it's like, well, we have this vacation that we have lined up that we thought, we'd be able to go to.
What's your family vacation? Family time is important, like to get sound. But you couldn't plan that around what you knew the baseball schedule was? And I know this sounds harsh, but it's only harsh if it's bad if you are expecting or thinking that your child should make top dollar. You think you got a first, second, or third round draft pick, but family time or play time is more important, then don't expect that money. Then you know what? You're right. He should go to college, get that vacation, and he should go to college. Right? There's my brother. He worked his butt off. He went to Harvard Medical School, and his thing, and this is his advice, so I'd love to claim it as my own. It's a whole lot more fun to have money as an adult because you worked hard as a kid than have fun as a kid and be broke as an adult.
Amen to that. Lord have mercy. Amen to that. Listen, I mean, I just think some of these families, I don't, and that's why I be doing this to hopefully they get it on. When Bobby was talking about the other day about the dedication, the mindset that goes into this type of stuff. Like sometimes, I think parents understand this. It's a grind, it's a business and hardcore, but like, my mouth is one mouth, but Bobby, and now you're talking about like, how dedicated and the business side and how grimy it is, how grimy you got to be as a player, meaning like going out there and putting up the numbers to get, and just like you said, it's 4 to 6 years before, and most of the time those guys are not going to get that big bread,
Yeah. One of the things that I want to point out also is baseball is less, and this, baseball is less about playing and more about politics. And unless you get acclimated to the business side of it and understand that the mindset isn't just to be beast mode, but to truly understand how the politics of it work, you're going to get your feelings hurt. And that's not just our kids. Yep. I've had kids from all walks, like just, I'm confused. Like, what about me? What happened? And it's like, this is the game within the game.
Hey, say it again. Say it again, Lonnie, Lord. Because that was my biggest wake up call. And I wish, I heard it so many times when people say it to me, but I wish I had these type of forums, when I was coming up, because to me, I was a football player that enjoyed baseball. You know what I'm saying? And now you're a first rounder and you go into these Wolves and it's like, yo, this is real, whatever. My GM just said I sucked. My, like these dudes is out here taking my job. Like it's real out here. This is not fun. This is like hardcore business game. Like it ain't no game no more.
Absolutely. Like, and it's unfortunate because, as a mother, do I believe that there should be an opportunity for our kids to still be kids? Absolutely. I wish that there were a balance, but there is nothing balanced about the way that this system works. It just doesn't. And so you have to establish what it is that's important for you and what is important for your child. Please don't consider the draft as again, and I keep saying it, in a vacuum. No decision can be made in a vacuum. You have to consider the mindset, the mentality of your kid, and whether or not they're able to handle the rigors and the stress of that environment. It is not rosy. I don't care if you're a first or second round draft pick. It is not rosy, and the majority out of high school are not ready. The majority are not ready. Now, does that mean pass it up? Not necessarily.
Right.
But you got to start getting them ready. We get them ready for everything else.
Basically saying don't be coloring the kids and all of that. Like keep them on and like, yeah.
Oh, don't make excuses. I don't care. Somebody posted something a couple weeks ago or whatever, and it was so true. And some people got mad at this person because it was like, oh, I think it was about daddy ball, you know, and it's like, what better way to teach them? Send them to daddy ball. That's welcome to the minors.
Right.
You know,
right.
Coaches have their favorite, and that favorite sucks, and that favorite is going to move up before you. And so how else can you teach your child, rather than taking your child off that field and bitching to each other about how screwed up it is, why don't you teach your child how to maneuver that coach? You can play the politics within the game. Take the coach's advice.
She's preaching, y'all. I hope you listening right now. She's preaching right now. I ain't never look at it like whatever. I say certain things like that is warming you up to how it is in professional ball. But sometimes with the audience, sometimes I think they want to their dreams for their kids to get there. But sometimes I don't want to like talk about it too much because I think sometimes it's so far removed. It
is. But that's what they have to understand. I mean, you have to understand that there is what, truth be told, that only 1% of it is good. 1%. Other than that, it's just another experience, just like kindergarten was. It's an exciting experience. So what are you going to learn? Are you going to be prepared for it? Are you going to go in knowing your alphabets? Or are you going to wait until you get there?
She's preaching, y'all. Lord have mercy. You need to pass the sermon around. You need to pass the plate around. Being in the male Caucasian environment, how do you prepare yourself to sit in the boardroom and do deals with men in their roles?
First of all, I'm a Leo. Thank you.
Lying out here.
Yeah, I would be lying if I said that at some point earlier on it. And sometimes if it's a certain person, you can get intimidated, but I don't choose to allow myself to internalize those emotions. I go in over prepared, no different than I'm talking about these kids being prepared. I go in over preparing, knowing that I am so ready for whatever could possibly come my way that I've got it handled, period. And what's really fascinating and at the same time unfortunate is for some reason, a lot of men note that I'm intimidating. I don't know why, but I do stand in my truth. And when I know my player, and actually this leads to another point, when I know my player, and because I know my player, good and bad, I'm ready. And you can't intimidate me about the things that I know that I know. They're the ones that are walking into the room not knowing. And clearly, if we're walking in the room, I have something you want.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
So the same thing goes, this is a good point, because when you're interviewing agents, are you interviewing the agent or are you interviewing the runner?
Can you just small snippet? Can you get into a little bit about the difference? Because I think they talking. I talked to Scott Boras, but I really talked to Mike Fishland or something. You know what I mean? So
Scott Boras is my agent, but such and such is the one at my games, is the one that talks to everybody for me, that makes the phone calls, sends me my equipment. That okay, bruh. Oh, okay. Now the really unfortunate part about that, but the fortunate part for me, is that that's why each year I only take a certain number of kids, because if I can't know you know you, so that when somebody comes to me and talks to me about that game that I wasn't at, or they tell me they heard you did something off the field, I already know you well enough to know how to either spin it because I know your ass did it, or I know you didn't do it.
I really think there's a speaking with you and just talking with you during this time. I really see a benefit. And I hate to, I don't even want to make it about sex, male or female type of thing, but I could definitely see a benefit of having, someone like you in your corner. You know what I'm saying? And so, as a, being a minority and B, what I'm saying, being a woman, is that mama bear type of thing is what is needed, and being, because you're dealing with 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, lonely on the road, dealing with issues that's, like you just said, is a business and all of that. And men sometimes just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And especially race wise and stuff like that. I love my agent. That was my dude, but certain things he couldn't give me the advice that I needed. You know what I'm saying?
No, because you're absolutely right. So one of the things, unfortunately, when men talk to men, there's this ego that automatically comes with it. Even when you're dealing with a father figure, something like your agent was probably, a bit older than you, there's still a certain amount of manhood that you have to express to him, right? You still got to be tough. Where I have seen so many boys cry, and the way that they receive information from me is also, I'm tough. I'm not an ego stroker. My thing is, and some of the kids, they'll tell you that it's like, don't do, as soon as they fix their mouth to tell me how great they were, like those that get to know me know. They'll look at the next kid that said it, like, because don't tell me how great you were until you're gracing the stage of the Hall of Fame. You're not great until you've done that. So I always want to hear about your game, but tell me what you could have done better, what you should have done different. Period. And that's gotten me in trouble with some parents, not kids. It gets me in trouble with parents because I've had parents literally say to me, I don't think you believe in my child.
Because you're not stroking the ego, you're not patting them on with like, nice job.
I'm stroking the ego, and when mom or dad calls me to tell me that, oh my gosh, he went 4 for 4, and they send me the video, and the pitcher was throwing 83, and his swing is long as hell, and I'm like, he's a junior in high school. Like, I'm sorry, no, that's not cute. No, I'd rather him go 0 for 4, because his bat is too fast. And his is too short to hit that shit.
Right.
Like, I don't want him to get good at hitting 83 or 85.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, you stole a base. No, that wasn't a stolen base. I'm sorry.
Right.
And I had a guy last year, his son, this was shameful. His son, he kept telling me, he was in a different region, and he kept telling me, oh, he threw 95. Okay, well, how many did he strike out? Oh, well, this is what happened, and this is what happened. Okay. So then we finally, I'm at a game. This boy, he did hit 94 while I was there. Okay. But that 94 hits the backstop every time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so it was like, my son's Hunter Green. No, he's not. You don't want to be that either. Like, the best thing Hunter, somebody's going to kill me. Here we go. The best thing Hunter Green has done so far is get drafted in the first round.
Really? He ain't put up nothing. I was wondering, how's he? I don't know. I don't check his numbers. And
I feel there wouldn't be. He was injured. He had surgery. Like, what is there to check? So don't model your. My point is,
I got you.
You need to model after the best that your child can be. Stop comparing. You want to compare? Go after some of the greats. Go after some of the guys that have already done it. Don't talk to me about a minor leaguer who the best thing they've done so far. And kudos to him. Like, bravo. I'm just saying that's not the model to follow.
That's not the end goal. You know what I'm saying? Because the percentages say that he ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? The best thing, like you just said, was getting drafted.
Right. It's when you need to develop when you're in high school. The goal is not to get drafted. That's not the goal. That's a milestone. The goal is to have a career as a major league player. There's a difference in the way that you develop and the way that your mind goes about handling your business when you're focused on becoming a major leaguer and having a career, not sniffing a career. So,
listen, I've said it 3 other times. She's preaching right now. Do you understand what she is saying? Because I say it to Lonnie, I piggyback what you're saying, because I say that to my daughter. I was like, don't talk about how you want to go pro, all right? Because you could be the 1,000th ranked player and step 1 foot on the court and you're a pro. You know what I'm saying? And you never win a tournament and all of that. I said, train. You said what?
And you're still broke.
And you still right. And I would say, so train like you're going to win multiple Grand Slam champions. That's what you tell yourself. I said, because I was like, yo, I'm gonna be a major leaguer. I'm gonna be whatever. And I'm like, it happened like this, and I was like, that's what it was. I mean, it was an accomplishment, no doubt. But I was like, damn, I pretty guy here, 20 years old. I'm here. I'm like, and it was like, and that little. You know what I'm saying? And then next, fighting for the rest of my career, because, but, and I've learned that, but you're right. You're preaching. I'm piggybacking what you're saying. You are preaching. So Russ says, man, God, I don't want to hold you up, but I'm going to get these questions out, but I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Is your Women in Sports Symposium going to be an annual event? Are you trying to build a mostly women's agency?
It wasn't my event. It was hosted by the International Women in Baseball. So that is a yearly event. This year, they just happened to dedicate it toward the influence of African-American women in the sport. And then, no, I don't have a focus other than great people doing the right thing.
All right. D-Rob out in California says, as a top amateur agent, do you always negotiate with the organization for the kid's college tuition to be included in his signing package, or does he have to be selected in a certain round to have that included?
It's always included. Now, there are situations where if your agent is an absolute bonehead, but it does happen, and they forget to ask and the team wants to be slick, that it does get left out. So you just want to make sure that when your contract comes, that it's there. Now, COVID has changed things a little bit where, the way that the free agent market worked this last year, the free agent signings, some did not offer the college education plan for those free agent signs. And that's very unfortunate, especially if a high school kid considered or did sign as a free agent. Fortunately for me, I did have a couple of high school kids sign as free agents, and we did get the college education plan. So it's in a normal draft year, it is up and down the food chain, whether you were drafted in the first round or the 40th.
All right. Russ asking, but let me get somebody else in there. I'll get the question. Jordan, I think she answered that question about what age, when should a player start looking for an agent? I think she answered that question already. Let me see. Brenda says, I'll get you right out of here in about, a few more questions. I'll get you out of here. I'm pretty cool. God dang it, this damn light keep going out. What if you have a child that was called with contract offers during and after the draft from multiple organizations? Is that a time to begin looking for an agent and advisor?
It's kind of too late at that point.
That's what I was thinking.
No, I think that I wish that Brenda were on here, because I think that, and I say this with great respect, Brenda, I don't think that someone has really explained what happens during this process correctly, because when a team calls with an actual offer, that is on draft day. Okay, so there is, if it's during the draft, you literally have minutes, sometimes a max is only 30 minutes, you know, to make a decision, but oftentimes it's like literally 2 minutes. And then after the draft is over, your time is, they've already signed somebody else because that name has to be called off the board. So if an offer comes after the draft is over, that would make you a free agent sign, an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, I talked to Brenda and she was saying something, and I was just like, I think she said sometime in August somebody reached out to her about her child, and I guess you know.
Oh, you know what? I bet they were asking her what would he sign for, like which I would question whether or not that person was actually a scout.
Okay.
That happens.
Okay.
Guys, you know, that aren't scouts pretend to be scouts. If Brenda's a single mom, yeah, that happens.
Ooh.
Single mom.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. I've been around a little bit.
Right. Wow. Okay. Hey, I hope you. Hey, she hipping you the game. Preach. Okay. All right. I remember reading a story. Chili Davis had a phrase written in his bat. He waved the cages. Okay, that's a chili story. All right. Let me see. Stella says, do you feel that's why there's not a lot of black players in MLB too? I guess it's a statement that we had earlier. I don't know. This question probably came in long after I just. Let me see. Stella also says, I feel that is why a lot of our kids get looked over to players that are not better, but will get an offer to a top college or even drafted. Just saying. This has to be in context. I'm sorry. A lot of these are, gosh, my bad. You probably was preaching about something way earlier, and people were commenting, and I was missing the comments, so my bad. Lonnie, you're so good for baseball. Keep being on the side of right and speaking truths. All right. You know, her kid is a high level player. I got a couple over here. I ain't gonna lie to you, Lonnie. I got a couple, you know, some dudes, and her son is one. So, you know, I'll give you some names and numbers in the back. Let me see. Where did she go to college? Does she have a law degree?
I went to Holy Names, and no, that is also a misconception. I do not have a law degree, and you don't have to.
All right. Teresa said, did Lonnie used to live in Oakland?
Oh, yes.
All right.
That's home.
All right. Do you find a trend in the percentage or amount of money offered by organization to players of the same caliber, Latin versus American black boys?
Latin versus American black boys, no. Latin and American black boys versus white, 100%. What goes missed, I did some work with, you said earlier, you absolutely have it right, that there are some guys that are in the Facebook group, the Black Boys Play Baseball. There are some non-black people in there that have been so instrumental in getting me information from the system that I'm not supposed to have to help our boys and our brown boys. Okay. And they are allies. And that's why sometimes it seems like I'm not, but it's because we have advocates that don't look like us, while some of us aren't advocates. And so with Latin boys, I think a lot of people would be surprised to know you have Puerto Rican kids who are American. They go in our draft, okay? That scouts go in and they may have been graded to go second round. If you watch the draft, you can see the trend where all of a sudden, until that first Puerto Rican kid gets called, which is generally the 6th or 7th round, then all of them start coming off. They don't go first, second, third, fourth, unless they live in Florida, because Florida, they figure those kids are going to go to college because they've been more Americanized, even though Puerto Rico's in the States. However, they know that the Puerto Rican kids living on the island are less likely to go to college, so they're less likely to sign. So why would we sign them in the top rounds?
You see, y'all listening, and she's preaching, but on the other side, that's just years of experience. Because she hipping me this stuff, and I think I know a lot of this stuff. But damn, sounds about right.
Yeah, last year, 2019. I'll send you the article Bob Nightingale did. I gave him, and the data that is in there is mine, and he didn't quote me. Okay, so it looks like it's his, it's mine. Thank you. So anyway. But that said, 2019, 7 black, 7 brown, first through fourth rounds, 101 white. So it's not Latin, and I wish we would also stop that in the group. It's not Latin versus black. We got to stop that. That's not what it is.
Well, speaking of that, all right, my boy Russ says there is a mission to sign black players. MLB makes more money by signing international players. 130 countries represented in the MLB. White percentage has stayed the same since the 90s. So very international players signed means one less black American signed. Same thing going on in the NBA, which is now 30% international players. Globalization makes more money for the MLB.
How does them signing international players make them more money? That doesn't really, the money spent is the money spent. Latin players on average are generally cheaper than our kids.
Way cheaper.
Yeah. And so you can, until about 3 years ago, packaging was done. It may have been called illegal, but packaging was done where if you had a Latin kid who happened to perform at $1 million in value, you could get 4 others lumped in to that $1 million and just take a little bit off the top to give to them. And then they're over here. Now you got 5 players for the price of 1. That's how, now that's very illegal now.
Right.
But
that's why the Braves and a couple of teams end up getting in trouble. Right?
Over here, you sign, like right now when we're doing free agent signs for our kids coming out of high school. And let's say that the kid decides to go ahead and sign anywhere between 30,000, 20,000 this last year, up to 200,000, like I mentioned earlier, still paying for college. That is, and while 80% don't use the college education plan, it's still budgeted.
Right.
So we do cost more. So we have to be better. And on top of it, there are some stereotypes about how we go about our business, which is why, Dee, you were saying it too. Stop babying these babies. Understand that it's hard. Understand the lesson that all of us learned. Life is not fair. Stop trying to make it fair. Gosh. So what are you going to do different? When you're out there complaining about how this field sucks, but I got Latin kids that don't even have a field. I got Latin kids that don't have a bat, that are hitting bottle caps.
Right.
I've seen a whole lot of people hitting, and we love to go out there and hit. I have yet to see, and tell me, Dee, because I missed your post the other day, but I haven't seen anybody do a Ricky Henderson or, throwing a ball up against the wall to field. Right. I haven't seen somebody out in the field playing catch by themselves, just throwing into a net and carrying a bucket back and forth.
Right.
But I hear
I had a dad straight out tell me the other day that, Dee, and he's right. But I was just like, but he was basically saying why his kid didn't want to go to a lesser school. He's like, Dee, they've been playing in perfect game and manicured, fields and paying all this money to these travel balls and playing on these college surfaces and stuff like that. So when they go to a school that is doesn't have all the bells and whistles, these kids is rather walk away from the game than, play baseball on a field that's not well manicured. I'm like, yo, what is going on right now, man?
You know what you do? Don't question. Don't waste your time questioning what's going on. Say, I'm glad to see you go. Like, thank you. Right? Like, let's not waste time here. Because the kid will be doing the same thing when he shows up to a minor league system, and then all of us will be complaining about how he's not getting his shot.
Ooh, they ain't ready for you. All right. Any current MLB players you represent currently in the major leagues?
4.
You said how many?
4. Just 4 right now. Yeah.
Okay. I'm what group? Ruben and Stephanie. Ruben, I know you asked me about travel teams. I do not do travel teams at this time. What is it that you see in players that makes you stand up and say, I've got to represent that guy, high school, pro, or college? Good question.
This is going to sound really silly. But the one thing that really catches my eye is the way that a kid walks on and off the field. The way that he walks out to handle his business. You can see something about, and it's rare, but you can see something about the way certain kids show up to the field. You're like, there was a kid that I approached. I saw him walking through the parking lot. I didn't see him play. I walked right over to him and his parents. What is your name? Because I was just like, and it turned out he was a dude.
He was a dude. You know it. You sense it. You got that sixth sense. You've been around the game. You know it.
Yeah.
You know it.
You can see it. I'm not sure professionally.
I'm sure he didn't have flip-flop shorts with the socks, pulled down, his jersey untucked, his hat I'm sure he didn't look like that.
He wasn't wearing Vans or Keds to the ballpark. Yeah. No, he didn't. He showed up like an athlete. And there's the other thing, the really simple thing that parents need to understand too, is what you wear makes a difference. Show off your assets. If your son this is going to sound crazy. If your son has nice arms, cut those sleeves off. If your son has little bitty itty legs, get some, the tights that, I got my pajama bottoms on, but right at that cut off right at the calf.
Yeah.
The calf of the knee, right? Yeah. But you got little skinny itty bitty calves, non-athletic legs, the calf, and then basketball shorts.
Right.
Yep. Make it work. You got to flaunt it. Like walk your head high. If you're like 2'3", with your head up high, like you own the damn field. Those things matter. They matter.
You are preaching. You are preaching.
Show up, that didn't get selected for perfect game All-American or didn't get selected for area codes. Come anyway.
Right.
What are you wearing? FaceTime me before you leave the house. And I see what you're wearing. Okay. Yeah, come. Okay. And I walk through with them. I hope there's no scouts on here because then they're going to know all the shit that I do.
There's usually a lot of coaches on, and there are a lot of ex-MLB guys, Mitch Molesky and God, my boy, my damn phone ran out, but hitting coach used to be in AAA for the Giants. That's my boy. He said to tell you hello. He's a Cali guy, but Jim Bowie. Yeah. He told me to tell you what's up. And Roosevelt Brown was on. So yeah, you got a few ex-MLBers on here, man. But anyway, listen, I didn't want to poo-poo what you just saying. Okay, yeah. Listen, parents. I hope you are listening to what she is saying. Even the college coaches that said that type of stuff many a times, but this isn't an agent. All right. She said she went up to a dude and said what's up and introduced herself and all when he was in the parking lot based on the way he looked in a uniform. All right, you
right
playing and stuff. Think of what she's saying to you. And that's what plenty of college coaches have said this. Gosh, I hope you guys. This is, man. $1,000 worth of game over here. She hipping you too. Lord have mercy. I get excited when you know stuff like this. Because I'd be like, man, I hope they understand what's going on right now. The inside stuff, that people think they should know. But anyway, that's the problem with parents. They do not tell their kids the truth. You always think their kids is good, but real with yourself and your kid, they're not that good. Do not boost them up. Right? All right.
Can I address that really quick?
Yes.
The problem is that parents don't know. What I would err on the side of all caution, because there is no high school kid that deserves to be boosted up all the time. Period. There is no good enough to always be boosted. There is no good enough in high school or in college, quite frankly, to not warrant extreme constructive feedback. Not if you're not coming out of high school as a major leaguer. That's Otherwise, right. You're an automatic first-round pick. And so right. You're absolutely right, Stella. We do have to be more realistic. And parents, find out what's wrong. Stop looking for what's right.
Oh, Lord. Gosh. You need your own. I gotta get you back on here. But when an amateur signs with an agent, does that eliminate them for playing college ball? At what point can they sign with an agent? Also, will an amateur be disqualified from playing college baseball if they talk with an agent?
Quick answer. We talked about this earlier. No and no and no. You are allowed, according to NCAA rules, to have an agent. But what I do advise kids that I even represent is once you get the NCAA eligibility form, always just check no. Period. That's all there is to it.
All right. I have friends in the minors, and they tell me there are a lot of us Black Americans in minor league baseball. Me being an indie ball player, I've had managers of other indie leagues saying the jobs for indie ball are going to be flooded with minor leaguers because the cuts to the minor league teams by the MLB.
Didn't I tell you this earlier?
Yeah, I'm about to say yes. That's exactly what you just said. Yep.
Yeah. Yes, Facebook user. That's a real thing.
I'm trying to go through these, man. Y'all know when your kid is an agent, needs an agent, agents will approach your kid. All right. Pretty much. All right. Our vacation time. Let me see. All right. D-Rob says, thank you, Lonnie, for insight. It appears obvious that with all the cuts in minor league baseball, it will definitely hurt our young African-American ball players that do not necessarily have the resources necessary to develop and compete at those so-called major showcases.
Yeah. There's that. It does hurt, Derek. That's just an unfortunate reality. Now, on a positive note, you had some scouts just about a month and a half ago, led by Gavin Dickey, Joe Dunnigan. Oh gosh, the others are going to kill me. I think everybody remembers when those brothers hosted a really good chat. What I would say is they're trying to do some really, really important things to help with development. But again, one, you have guys on there that are willing to give advice on what you should be doing. Again, don't look at these guys that are offering cookie cutter approaches to stuff. The second part is look up stuff you can do on your own. Everybody's searching for somebody to hold their hand on how to get stuff done. And that's not how we got it done back in the 90s. Somebody before referenced, our numbers are less now, but we were also playing different here and on the field.
Yeah, I'm listening. I just want to make sure I get these last, because I promise you've been on.
The major showcases, I wish that collectively, and I think this is one of the things that those guys are working on, is working on a framework for executing showcase preparation. And I'll tell you that that's what happens in Latin America. You have a lot of kids who are showcase ready, but can't play in a game. So that's how they sell, because they can't play in as many games. Like over here, we're overexposed. Over there, a team isn't flying there all the time to watch every little game, and they don't even play games like that. So what do? You pump them up for the slaughter. What's the slaughter? A showcase. Okay. You say you're going to have a scout day. The scouts go. They're doing the 60. It's fudge because the clock is wrong. They're doing BP, but they're not doing game situations, so you have no idea what their on-field mentality is.
All right. Nadine says, hi, Lonnie. You mentioned that your junior year in high school is very important. With COVID, the class of 2021 had a rough junior year. Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, I feel for the 2021s that are coming out, like Nadine, like obviously your son, his senior year, and then even the kids who are in their junior year now, that'll be the 2022s. Gosh, I shouldn't share this with anybody who has an agent already, but you have to, it really is critical that you use your social media. Okay, so like a minute ago when I referenced what drills are you doing by yourself, they want grit. They don't want to see you going out to the field. I see so many videos going out to the field and playing in a game, and parents are posting, you know, if they're 2021s and you're posting a game against a BS pitcher. And what was that game that somebody posted the other day? I don't know how old those kids were, but there was like 3-4 errors, you know, and it's like, oh, look at Cletus, you know, and it's like, oh, you can post that for fun, but that's not an acknowledgement of ability. And so it truly needs to be step back, Nadine, and be your son's biggest friggin' critic. Period. Be so hard on what the content is that you're putting out. I've done videotaped workouts. I had to call one little boy. He sent me a workout with like doing sit-ups and bench press. And it was like the bench press was going halfway up, but it had a lot of weight. You didn't complete the damn exercise. We're like so half-ass and weak. I literally called him and asked him, do you need me to have your sister show you how to do those exercises?
Oh, wow. You didn't say it to him like that, did you?
Oh, 100% on my son's life. I absolutely did. Don't play with me. And Nadine, that's what has to happen. No BS content. No, look at my son plays piano. No, nobody cares. Okay? Get out there. Be extra hard on him. If it doesn't truly impress you as an outsider looking in, it ain't right. And you do not have to know baseball like a scout, Nadine, to know the difference between what's gritty and athletic and what's not.
All right. Put the sister out there, huh? You had to call her. Somebody on here had a message too. Like I sent, hey, you got somebody real on the whatever. Lonnie, I sent Lonnie some video and she critiqued it hardcore. So it might have been him. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? He did say that earlier in the message.
Some people I still have to respond to. I'm sorry. It gets crazy.
I'm just skipping somebody. It's Mila says, can you explain what a value pick is?
So what ends up happening is, I assume that you're talking about the slot values. I don't know how to ask her that. If we're talking about slot values, what ends up happening is that when you're drafted, each draft number has a value attached to it. Now, at a certain point, that value no longer matters. It kind of goes away. It's usually, even in the second round, teams are trying to maneuver their overall money for what they're going to give you. Okay? So the real thing is, and so like anybody that is approaching the draft, the first thing internally as a family that you have to decide if your son is in high school is, what is the minimum dollar that we as a family would take? Don't look at slot values. Don't Don't start measuring against friends, because that guy, that neighbor, 3 neighborhoods away that was drafted in the 2nd round that you want to pound your chest and say you beat, fuck him. Sorry. But like, because guess what? He may never see the majors while your son will, drafted in the 4th. Because again, the goal is not the draft. The goal is to have a career at the major league level. There are more players on the field that were drafted after the 2nd round than there are players on the field that were drafted in the 1st and 2nd. Why? Because the head dog won't hunt. Stay hungry. So again, the first thing that you have to decide is, what is the value to you and your family? What is the mentality of your child, and whether or not he needs that extra time? It's easy to listen to a whole lot of people here in that group talk about a cookie cutter approach to what decision you should make as a family. But out of all the years that I've been doing it, there is not one family that has been just like the one before. There is not. There are too many variables that play a role.
Gosh, I'm learning.
But once you figure out what that value is, know that for sure it's gonna change like the day of the draft.
Right, and you're gonna have to make that tough decision, right?
Yeah, it's a tough decision, and that's where you have to know, and it goes back to how you make the choice between the agent that you select. You have to know that when somebody sounds like it's bullshit, that it's just because there's something you don't understand about it. But that person needs to be able to then explain it to you, or give you the opportunity to ask all the questions in the world that you want to ask without you feeling bad for asking 10 times over, because that happens. Without saying, hey, I'm really busy, can I give you a call another time? No, answer the damn question. This is my son's life. This is our family's life, right? So that's where, it helps to have somebody in your corner that you've established a rapport of trust with, so that once the draft starts approaching and you guys as a family have established that dollar value and you start to deviate from that a little bit, then you can discuss why you've deviated from that. Maybe your son has come to you and said, I can't do school anymore. I can't. Mom, Dad, I barely got by. I can't. Maybe the college coach switched up. Is that agent going to be able to fight for you to get you a placement at another college that then still leaves the door open? Or are they going to just convince you to get drafted? Those are all the variables that you have to consider. And so unfortunately, it's not as cut and dry as just picking a draft value, but the truly number one thing is you as a family, nobody else, you figuring out what it's going to take to say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and sign.
Listen, that should have been talked about at the very beginning, but I'm glad that was said. We got 2 more questions for you. That's it. I'm only going to post 2 more questions. We'll be going right on 2 hours, and I appreciate you, Lonnie, so much. I'm chased you down over here, and you are well worth it, Lord, Lonnie, speaking of this, all right, Lonnie, you are inspirational. D, you keep impressing me with the real value and caliber of guests. Thank you, Lonnie. Last questions. What showcase do you recommend? What type of video should family and players post on social media? Should we take down the fun video content and only show the grind?
I would take down any videos where your son wants to show off his tennis shoes or the new shirt that he got. I see a lot of that, and it sends the wrong message. With respect to, you want to see hustle, not hustler. And, oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I'm laughing at the message over there. Hey, I'm gonna use that as a quote right there. Lord, can you say that again? Say that again. Damn.
You want to show the hustle. I don't know. It just comes out. You want
to show the hustle, not the hustler.
Yeah.
That's what you said. Show the hustle, not the hustle. You know, like,
You're
all right,
making
I got it. I got what you said.
So you want to see, you know, I hope that, like if you're doing BP, for example, go ahead and do BP out on a field, but also go ahead and take off to first. Show how he gets out of the box. Capture it. You know, you can set up, and the video doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to show, right? How much respect do you have? Come on, like all of us, we have so much more respect internally. We may think somebody's video looks nice, right? Like, man, IMG put together a really nice video for your son, right? But you know that IMG showed the highlights, okay?
Right.
But when your son, when it looks like your son, or you know, you as parents went out there and used your iPhone, and maybe your son had to prop it up. I had kids send me video the other day because it was like, what do you mean you couldn't? I need to see your throwing mechanics. And well, we didn't have anybody to record. Since when did you need somebody to record?
Right.
There's grass, you carry a bag to the park, prop your phone up against the bag. I don't need a perfect angle. I just need to see your throwing mechanics. If you show that, what is better than somebody, damn, that kid wants to get it done, right? Because they came to the showcase and paid for the video package. Like, show it over a couple days. Show him in the gym. Show everything he's got. Physically, athletically, not cute. I don't care about the nice outfit. I'd rather see you wear the same damn workout outfit every single day than you be geared up in all your Nike, you know, stuff. No, when you retire, no, right? Like, because guess what? It determines how hungry you are. Because back to, again, a fed dog won't hunt. Wow, that kid's got a whole lot of Nike, and his shoes sure are nice. And yes, he has the best bat. So guess what? He's not that good, but his family must have a little bit of money, so they're not going to take what we offer. Why are we going to bother? Right? That's the bottom line. Show me how hungry you are. Post some stuff. Post, you know, like if you see something motivational, if there's a quote that you follow, post it. I tell all my kids to read. And I tell them, I don't care if it's an audiobook. Most of them like the audiobook. Even my minor league guys, like, I'm like, this is what you listen to on the bus ride. It's a book called Relentless.
What?
Tim Grover, he was the trainer for Michael Jordan.
And Dwayne Wade, right? Yeah.
Yes. That book is fire. He cursed his family, sorry, just like us. But it is... It's no joke. Like it breaks it down. Like, what kind of player are you? You are a cleaner or are you a closer? What's the role here? And it helps the player to identify, and parents should listen too, because then you can really start looking at your kid without your rose-colored lenses on. Tim Grover is the author.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I went
taking notes too. Don't listen to the book or read the book just because I said so, is what I tell them. I don't need you to get through it. I need you to feel it. Probably listen to chapter 9 through 14 like 30 times. I listen to it hiking. Anytime I start getting a little sluggish in my game, in my stroll.
Listen, I got a couple of these nuggets, man, that I gotta take, man. This is the last question I'm gonna have for Miss Lonnie Murray, and God, this is just a blessing, man. You don't hit. Oh my God, I have so many nuggets, man. But I wanted to. I was going to say something about the relentless and the hunger type of thing. Reading books and stuff like that. I can't think of the question right now because I was, worried about wrapping it up. But you had said something over there that I wanted to piggyback off of what you said, but I lost my train of thought a little bit. But listen, I'm gonna get this. She's called out the quote, feed the dog. I know that's where my mind is going. I'm trying to remember all these damn things. I'm gonna put my homegirl Steph. Me and her husband played together. She has a quote after quote: "Feed the dog and won't hunt. Show me the hustle and not the hustler." Right? You know what I'm saying? I got to get some T-shirts made over there. Like, some Lonnie quotes over here.
Don't do like Nightingale and not quote me.
All right. I'll put right on the bottom over there and in the signature over there. You know, Lonnie Murray. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, this is that hustle one. Yo, hustle. Show the hustle, not the hustler. You need to make that a T-shirt. I'm just saying that. I'll buy it. All right. Chris, last one we got. My daughter's a freshman in high school, and she wants to be an agent. Do you have any tips for her?
Yep. Go volunteer with the team. Any of the teams. Basketball, be an assistant. Be around the players, learn the culture of how players interact. Don't be offended by anything. Be tougher than all of them. Don't be intimidated by anything. I don't care if they think you're cute. None of that matters. It's just life. Don't be easily offended. Throw it right back.
Yeah, I know you had to deal with that. Lord have mercy, God.
I had a guy tell me, this was a guy that was a higher up at one point that tried to screw me out of some money for a kid that we had already agreed to. And he thought he was going to be slick about it. And this is all, most is done by phone and text messages. And he didn't know. Somebody forgot to tell him. And so that didn't go too well for him because I happened to have a relationship with his boss. And so I got his money, but that was after a few choice words. And then it was probably a couple of years later, he had been demoted. I don't know. I hope that I had something to do with it, but I can't claim it. And we saw each other at an event. I didn't know it was him, but I was in the lobby with the guys after the event was over and we're having drinks or whatever. And I felt like this anger, you know what I mean? So it's like
negative energy.
Totally like daggers, but I get plenty of people that just don't like me for whatever their reason. That's life, right? So after a couple of drinks, I think he thought I was wounded or something, because then he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I was like, "No, I don't. No, who are you?" And he was like, "I'm such and such. I was with, such and such. And, you really, showed yourself on such and such's case." I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you. How are you?" And he was like, "Well, I just thought you should know you're not much of a lady, right?" Ooh. I said, "Well, whoever told you I was a fucking lady was the person you should be going after."
Dang. So how have you always been like, is it something that almost like, and I know you have to play that role, like I said, you have to play that line, but is it something where when you really decided to go in like to this business, did you just was like, yo, let me put my get the Vaseline right here, take the earrings out and just be, and play nice when I have to, but women know how to do that better than anybody I know, where it's like, yo, I got that dog in me, but I go, hey, and you say something the wrong thing, I'm ready to cut, but right. Is that something that you walked in like, or is it just kind of you gradually got that way?
There's nobody in my life that's surprised by this is, I grew up in a Navy town. Truth is, I've been the first time that I got my own apartment, I was 15. I've done it. Like, I've already been there. People make assumptions about where I come from, what I do, and how I am. When I get people that talk about, "Oh, Lonnie's bougie, she would probably never eat at Red Lobster." You know what I mean? And it's like, they look at what is now and with never asking where you were or where you came from. And it's so amusing to me. I was a foster kid. You just learn, but you make it happen. And I'm not saying you have to go through that, but if we all welcome our hardships, it truly is our testimony. And our testimony is given to us as an opportunity to help other people. And that helps us to establish our why. That's what it boils down to. So always, you know, but I feel like every single girl, no matter where she came from, every single woman, we all have that in us, because that's just the way that society is, especially Black women. That's just the way that it is. Especially when you look a certain way, people make assumptions. Okay. No matter how light, no matter how dark, no matter what your hair looks like, no matter how you dress, assumptions are made. Me personally, am I offended sometimes, or do I get my feelings hurt? Yes. Am I going to let somebody else have that power over me? Hell no. Like, it's just not going to happen. And so we all have that in us. And there's nothing that we go through as women that men don't go through too. There's a whole lot of weaker men that have their own insecurities. The difference is that people allow us to express our emotion, where men aren't allowed to express it.
Well, listen, you don't made some some hardcore fans, you know what I'm saying, today. You know, this is something that I'm just going to put these last few messages that's start writing some chapters, Lonnie. There's a book there. All right. Listen, Lonnie, you're going to take us out on a message. I mean, you've been giving us nuggets for 2 hours, please. But if you're going to take us out, but before Lonnie takes us out, listen, I appreciate everyone taking out the time and listening. I hope, you just got $1 million. Hell, you got $10 million worth of game. Even if you got 4 to 5 tips that she just gave you, about the agent business, about, training, about social media, about, how somebody like herself that deal with multi-million-dollar athletes, what she sees and what she's looking for in a potential client. All right. She's hipping you to the game within the game. If you saw not even Major League Baseball, professional baseball is not for you. Okay. So, everybody dreams, parents have dreams and aspirations, but parents, your kids, you know what I'm saying? So, anyway, Waco Showcase next weekend. All right, sign up for that. Also, we're having a free webinar on the travel board, how to pick the right travel board organization. That free webinar, if you're interested, type interested, and I will have that link out to you on December 8th. We're doing that free webinar, and that's it. Tomorrow I will not be on. All right, I'll be chasing after my daughter and her. Her sports and stuff, all right, with tennis. So I will not be on tomorrow. I will see you guys on Monday, but that's it. But Lonnie, I appreciate you, my sister. Thank you so much for coming on here. Lord, this has been, like I said, a $10 million worth of game that you spit out here to me. I done learned, a handful of things, man. And but if you could take us out, the parents are still hanging in there and listening in. Can you take us out with a great message, please?
Press rewind. I don't know. What I would say, take off the rose-colored lenses and trust your gut. Don't listen when somebody tells you something. If it doesn't sit right in your gut, don't step back and keep looking. And don't listen to people that only have positive things to say. Find out what their motivation is.
And there you have it. All right. Thank you so much, Lonnie. This has been a pleasure. I will be in contact. I know I was dogging you over there. I'm like, you dodging me. Lord, you were well worth the dodge. All right. You were well worth the dodge. So I appreciate you taking out the time. I know you're very busy and stuff that's going on, but it really means a lot to me, and I thank you for taking that time, and I look forward to meeting you in person. I pretty much know, I know a lot of the, the people in the business, man. I never had a chance to really meet you. I've known Dave for a little bit, but I definitely would like to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're gonna run into each other, no doubt about it. So,
I want everyone to stay safe.
All right, cool. Appreciate you, my sister. Thank you so much. Parents, I see you Monday at 4 p.m. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining in. All right. Peace.